Sunday night, I figured I'd do a quick catch-up vid. So that looks like a pretty complete motorcycle. Basically, we did a cram session on Saturday, well, Friday and Saturday, and a little bit on Sunday. But yeah, that's a working unit. I kind of go over there and show you what I got going on and some of the things I kind of addressed and just got ready to go because we're going racing next weekend. So here we go. This is what we're working with. Those are new to me cases, my old crank, the rods I was running before I had the little the pop, the backfire, the fire. Three of the, well, okay, let's start fresh. 2 pistons were new to the turbo when it started turbo. 2 of them that are in there now are from when it was a nitrous bike. One of those 2 was just recently put in on this go around after I had the fire and it actually nipped top of one of the pistons. So it kind of got a mixed bag of pistons in there. They're all the same model of piston, the JE piston. I had spares and stuff. I keep good parts. That's what's going on with the pistons. That cylinder head I welded up and repaired, surfaced out. Old valves that I had in the old head, which I did replace 2 exhaust ones because I found nicks in those. The cams I was running last year. A head gasket I put together out of, where'd they go? Oh, it's laying over here. Keep old head gaskets too because certain layers are still good. So yeah, we're dealing with a used head gasket. Trans is what I was running, turbo is what I was running. Yeah, just kind of a mixed bag of parts. There's even used bearings in there. And that sounds like a bunch of garbage. And I joke about like, oh, I'm just putting trash together. It doesn't fucking matter. It'll last however long it lasts. It is what it is. But realistically, like, I did use the best of what I have for parts. It is really, it's good parts. They're just my used good parts. And it's put together with a little bit of knowledge and care. So like the, sizing is right. Everything's, structurally and dimensionally good. We just did it with used parts. So that's what we're working with. I did have it running a bunch. I've drained the oil 4 times now. I would run it, heat cycle it, drain the oil, rinse it, pull the filter, pull the pan, look everything over. So I've been doing that. I'm not going to get to the track this week to test it all. And Friday I'm going to be heading out to Indiana. And then Saturday we got a race. So likely, I think we can test Friday, maybe. I'll have to look. I'm not sure. But there's a chance that the first pass of the year on this thing, just like last year, will be first round at a race. So that's what the deal is with this current package as it sits. I'll show you a few things under the tank now, what we got going on there. So under the tank, everything is pretty much as it was, just I had to fix a few things. When this thing barked a flame out of the back of the motor here, it just kind of nipped some of my nylon wire loom covering. So we had to redo some of that. Everything's kind of as neat and tidy as we can get. It's mostly, I'm more worried about things being serviceable than being super cosmetically perfect looking. But I like to think I've kind of found a compromise middle ground with some of that stuff. So like everything unplugs here in like 3 minutes and that motor's ready to come out. We added a blue LED light under here. Bought it at a swap meet last year, never used it, finally wired it in. So now I'll have a little bit of light to see my pressure gauge in the swing arm, and I'll be able to see fuel level. What else did we address here? I changed up the cover of the valve cover. That was, I made a mistake painting some stuff, and it ended up being almost like a purple color, which the bike itself has like that bluish purple tint to it. Kind of looked all right. We went with a cast color now. Much better. It's like a super quality, like durable paint too. Like it's hard to scratch. Same thing I did the side covers and everything through here is all the same gray. We're going to run an intake bell, velocity stack. They got like 4 different names on the turbo. We're going to try that out. I was running a TurboGuard air filter on this thing for the longest time. And I just decided I'm going to do a little science experiment this year. And I'm going to run, not that. And we're going to see how much faster it builds boost or how much easier it makes power. Really just a test. I bought that a long time ago and just ended up not using it. I just had an air filter on this thing the whole time. So we're going to kind of give that a little test. I had to remake mounts. Oh, you can't even see them. Maybe you can see them. Camera focus. There. See it right in there? Whoop, where the bolt is? I had to make new mounts for the diaper. I used to run the diaper up to a bracket hanging off the header bolt. I figured because it was aluminum, it would last. The bracket just got too hot and it started to kind of singe the strap holding the diaper on. So we got away from that setup. What else? Like I said, I went with black on the pipe now. Just, I'm trying to do stuff for free and make it look fancy and nice. I think, other than that, just little stuff, Just trying to get this thing to the track and make some laps. But it does run, and actually, I'll throw a battery. I got batteries cycling right now. Those are on balance. I got 2 over there ready to go. I'll put 2 batteries in it, fire it up. So you guys can see this thing actually runs with really a spare part, just band-aided. I don't want to say band-aided together again. I talk shit about what I do, but it's not really band-aided. It's put together well. It's just used parts. It's cold right now. I haven't run it most of the day. I've been going on a motorcycle ride. But normally I turn the power on and I wait for the O2 sensor to come online so I get a reading. But the map is actually close enough that I can just, it'll fire up and run. And now I probably jinxed myself, but we're just going to cold start this thing and let it idle for a little bit. I'll just wait till I can see the dash. I've been sitting here fiddling around thinking about what I was forgetting to show you. The crankcase vent setup I changed. So normally it would have been, coming off of here. Now we just got crankcase pressure sensor, or pressure sensors actually up here. All the sensors are remote mounted, by the way. So now instead of having the crankcase breather coming off of that, we're coming off of where the cam position sensor would have been with it's a 1/2-inch pipe, 10 AN fitting, and then what it'll do is just to kind of steer it away from coils and stuff. This will get replaced with a 90-degree fitting, which I'm waiting to show up yet. Hose will kind of run around here to the front of the frame, around through here, down through here, whoop, to the back, and up into the catch can that's right there. There's, see the 10 fitting right there. So we're trying something different. I had a 10 AN hose running off the top of the crankcase plate there, or breather plate, to the can. And that substantially reduced what I was seeing for crankcase pressure by just having that big of a vent on the thing. And now we're going to run it off the top of the valve cover. So we're experimenting with stuff this year. We'll try some things. But I think that's going to be a better place. I think it's going to be a cleaner place because down there, being so close to the trans, there's holes in the cases that are below that plate and over that are right by the trans and the clutch basket right there. So try to explain this. If the crankcase pressure is trying to get to that area, the pressure and the airflow in the motor is coming through there. So any oil that's kind of getting whipped around where those holes are, it's just kind of pushing the oil to where it's being vented out of. So I believe I was still getting residual excess anyways. Residual oil, splash, vapor, liquid oil kind of coming into the catch can. Not enough that it was like overflowing or making a mess, but enough that I think we can correct it by coming off the top of the valve cover, because that's basically, that's up in a little recessed area and it's almost baffled. So, well, not baffled, but it's obstructed, we'll say, from direct oil splash. And the top of the motor is vented completely to the bottom of the motor. So again, something we're just going to try. I think it'll be a nice clean little setup. So that's kind of the deal on it running. So it sounds good. Oil pressure is awesome. Like I said, I've been dumping oil. Oil's coming out clean. I'm just kind of letting it, kind of go through a rinse cycle, because like there is still parts in here that were in the motor when we had the issue. And as clean as you get stuff, you just never know. So it's nice to, get the stuff kind of rinsed out of the motor. I've never been one to be really overly concerned with junk or debris going through the bearings. I mean, you don't want big chunks of stuff that can actually, plug up oil galleys, obviously. But a little bit of debris going through the bearings, I am not worried about. Bearing failure is usually a clearance issue. If you got your clearances set right, a little bit of junk going through the bearings, maybe it'll leave a little score mark that's not going to hurt the bearing or prematurely wear it. You'll be fine. I have ran full seasons on shit that people would look at and probably throw away. They will work. Don't be overly concerned about stuff. One other thing that I would address kind of, I get questions on these throttle bodies because people see these plugs. So people that don't know, if you haven't seen these channels from, channel videos from the beginning, this is a 03. I tried to run 01 to 04 cases, so I get 73 millimeter bore, stock bore. I have for the longest time ran the 07, 08 cylinder head, even when it was a nitrous bike. And then I run the 05, 06 throttle bodies. They're just very simple throttle bodies, but they're also set up to have 8 injectors. What I do is plug the top injectors with brass plugs, port the insides out so they're smooth to the bore, and then I'd run a standard 4 lower injectors, just like an 03 would come with. They're 2600 cc injectors. The bike does run on methanol, so they're big injectors. And clearly you just saw me fire it up and have it idle. Like, injector technology has come a long way. Being able to control them has come a long way. You can run big injectors. Some guys swear, but you got to have 8 injectors. But the power level this is at for what we do, I'll never outgrow what I can get out of these 4 injectors. So it's just something that people question me on as far as seeing those plugs, why I run 4 injectors, and also like what head and combo kind of I run. What else? There was something else I was going to kind of address that I got questioned on. We'll figure it out. Oh, I also did rewire the kill switch. I don't know what I was thinking. I had the wire running down on the one side of the fork, and it was like, it didn't look right. So I routed it with the rest of the wires, kind of a nice little loop here. Whoop. So everything's connected, everything's unpluggable and replaceable if I got to service this thing. But what else we got going on here? I remembered what it was. This was just kind of more for conversation, something I figured out today. I've been running around getting supplies ready, getting the trailer restocked, getting oil, spark plugs, just running around doing all the errands you do before you go racing, because now we're into race season. These pumps here, these little transfer pumps, I got 2 of these. I'd keep one in the garage, one in the trailer. With methanol, these still work. This has been 2 years I've been running these things, like using them to fill the bike up, stick it in the drum and then just pump it into the fuel cell with this. They work super slick. But yeah, like 2 years I've been using this with methanol running through it. It still works. But I was at the Hazard Freight today, and I saw that they had these, and I did some reading, and they got pretty good reviews on these. Their transfer pump, it's $12. This cocksucker, holy cow, you turn it on and it will suck a pail dry. Like, it pumps some fluid. I can actually fill that tank up in that bike really freaking fast. That, however, I'm going to keep as a spare. Actually, there's one more sitting over there. But I'll keep them as spares. They still work, but that one is going in the trailer for sure to fill this bike up. Between rounds, sometimes we're tight on time. Those are slow. This thing, that moves some fuel. So we'll see how long it lasts. This will be a little Harbor Freight hackery real world testing thing we'll do with this guy. But yeah, for $12, it's worth a shot. One other thing real quick. That chain on there, I had that chain I'm going to say it wrong, cryo treated, like 4 years ago at this point, at a place out in California called Cryo Heat. Yeah, so that chain is like on its, we'll say, 4th year for sure. And I rarely ever have to make any adjustments other than when I'm monkeying with the back wheel or just, straightening out the alignment, whatever. That was one of the best investments I ever made. Saved me a ton of money on replacing chains every year. I feel like we're just doing kind of an overall refresh of the bike. I'm getting familiar with it again after it's sitting in pieces for so long. I'm talking about like cycling batteries and stuff. If you don't know, I run this thing on RC car batteries. This is what I'm running. I run 2 of them. So fully charged, they're like 16.1 volts. And then there's 2 up here in my little tray that I made. I even use RC car connectors. I doubled them up so that it reduces the load on just the smaller gauge wires. But I can crank this thing quite a bit and these wires don't even get hot. And it cranks awesome at 16 volts. I don't even run a charging system. And the bike will run an entire night on 2 batteries. And that's running an electric fuel pump, the ECU, tail light, and headlight at night if the track's getting dark. But yeah, if you didn't know, whoop, RC car battery. We've done 3 2-step tests. The swing arm is still holding 150 psi. Another thing, if you didn't know, I only run the tank in the arm with the little fill gauge and a gauge, and then you can see there's a T-fitting right here. This one runs up here to what I'm using as a nitrous filter, just to keep any debris from getting into the boost solenoids. There's a regulator up here. That other line right here runs to the shifter. So I put 150 psi in the arm. I get 150 psi right to the shifter over here, right to that solenoid, or Mac valve. And then the other line up, filter, regulated down to 80 psi for the boost controller. I can get 2 full passes on that swing arm tank. Some people need to, or feel the need to run big, like a 2-pound, like a nitrous bottle. Whatever works for you, man. But I've slowly worked away from that stuff and got away from that and into the small tank. These systems, the air shifter and the boost controller, they don't operate so much on volume as much as they function on pressure. They're not just opening up and free flowing anything. There's not a lot of volume that runs through them. Think of how fast your shifter acts and how little air it's using to do that. It's just an instant burst. It doesn't even drop. That guy. The gauge doesn't even drop on a pass from that. It's the boost controller that's moving, increase, decrease valve or solenoids. That's the only thing that's really using up air as far as, volume, the little bit that it is. But little trick if you guys want to try that. I mean, shit, get after it. So I know this video is just going to seem kind of random, but it's just kind of a Sunday night catch-up session to kind of show you where I'm at, because I think, I don't watch my videos after I post them, so I'm trying to remember what the last video even was or where I ended off. I think the motor was just kind of on the bench. But yeah, I didn't film any of the stuff going back together on this thing just because you get into a groove and I just start cruising and putting stuff together. I had a buddy of mine stop over yesterday, and when you're hanging out in the garage building stuff, you got a buddy over, like it's hard to stop and film. I'm just kind of enjoying the time doing it. But these guys that do YouTube full time, man, you got to have somebody filming for you to capture everything. One man in it is tough. It takes a while. So I'm trying. But that's where we're at. Maybe I'll do a little update throughout the week as I'm heat cycling things and still changing oil. I'm going to keep watching it. The oil, clean oil, good oil, is like the lifeline for these things, and especially on a fresh motor and and used parts. I'm just going to monitor it. That's all we can do, right? I mean, I'm going to babble. I'll just keep babbling. I'm going to end it there. So thanks for watching. That's the update for now. At some point we'll get some racing footage in here. See you later.